Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Harris with Moms Rising. We're going to start in a few minutes. Please drop your name and city in the chat. Thank you for joining. Hello, Anna. Hi, Laura, Crystal, Elisa. How are y'all? Hi, Kira, Amy. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Hello from Seattle. Hello from Maryland. So great to see all these people. California, Ohio, Tacoma, Washington. Wow. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Again, if you're just coming in, please give us a few minutes. We're going to start. Continue to drop your name and city in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Atlanta, I see Atlanta on here. Hello, Vermont, excuse me. I see Texas, Durham. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I see Tennessee and Connecticut. Oh, wow. Great, great. So great to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so we have interpretation in Spanish during this meeting. I'm going to let the interpreter introduce themselves and give instructions on how to join.
Thanks so much, Carrie. Hello, good evening. I'll be very brief and I'll give instructions in English and in Spanish. First of all, I would like to thank Moms Rising for their commitment to language justice. Hola, muy buenas noches a todos y voy a ser breve para aquellos que prefieran escuchar la reunión o el webinar en español. Esto quiere decir que todo lo que se diga al inglés será traducido simultáneamente al español. Si prefieren escuchar la reunión en español, hay 3 puntitos en el menú de Zoom o el símbolo de un mundo. Por favor, seleccionen interpretación español terminado o don. Es muy sencillo. Si tienen cualquier
Thank you so much, Flora. All right, you all. Due to the high volume of RSVPs, this is a VPs, excuse me. I'm so excited. I'm stumbling over my words tonight. But this is a webinar style, but we want to encourage you all to use the chat function and reactions. If you have a question, please feel free to type it into the question function and we'll have a Q&A at the end. Tonight, we are talking about the real parent power in 2026, which is all of you. We have tremendous guest speakers. We'll have time for questions again and conversation. And as always, we'll end with concrete actions that you can do now. So to kick things off, we're going to hear from Kristen, Moms Rising founder and CEO. Woo! Yay! Kristen, over to you.
Thank you so much, Carrie, and thank you to everybody who's on tonight. We know you're busy, so we appreciate you being here so very much because we are in a crisis of democracy, a crisis of human rights, a constitutional crisis, a crisis. And do you know who's good in a crisis? Moms. In fact, organized gangs of moms, and yes, let's put that in quotes, quote, organized gangs of moms, as the far right has been calling all of us, and what they thought was an insult, but will take as a compliment, is actually how we get up and out of this crisis. Parents together are powerful. And in fact, we're going to hear from an organization called Parents Together tonight. And we're needed. Across the country, families are very much feeling the impact of the harm, of the pain, of the cruelty from the intensified human rights abuses happening in the name of immigration enforcement on American streets. It's not okay. We're hearing from the 1.2 million members of Moms Rising every day about the impacts in their own communities. And we're also importantly hearing about how moms are stepping up. Moms have always built critical care infrastructure, often with no support. And now we're hearing about moms stepping up to protect their communities in really big ways. Moms, parent, and community members are banding together in the most incredible ways to provide safety, mutual aid, grocery delivery, to keep kids safe on the way to and from school, to bear witness, and to call on leaders to rein in ICE. The devastating truth is that harm is happening in cities across the country and rural areas and basically everywhere. Moms from California to Florida are watching children get ripped out of their kids' classrooms, upending the world of the child, taking and leaving children who are terrified after they see this happen around them. We can do better. And we can do better through the action, the voices, and the power of moms and parents. One mom in Minneapolis told us that her kids' child care center received so many threatening phone calls accusing them of fraud, unfairly accusing them of fraud, that they had to call in the police. No mom wants to worry about strange men showing up in their children's childcare demanding entry to videotape their children, and unfortunately, that's been happening. Meanwhile, it's beyond distressing to see Trump and Republicans freezing childcare and other services in blue states as an act of political retribution on the backs of children and families, and cutting funding for healthcare and other critical programs for families in order to pay for separating families, human rights abuses, and terrifying hard-working immigrants. Our nation needs a safe and orderly immigration process that balances compassion and security, but we don't need cuts to childcare, and we don't need cuts to healthcare, and we don't need cruelty. So our powerful, quote, organized gangs of moms, end quote, is one of the big ways that we can start working together in a bigger way toward what's importantly the promise of a better nation. Moms Rising has over 1.2 million members, as I just said, and we are honored to be in movement with each of you and also with powerful organizations across the nation who are rising every day to create a better tomorrow for everyone. And I do mean every single person. Tonight, we're lucky to be joined by 4 powerful leaders. We are so excited. We're going to hear from Ailen from Parents Together, Janice from Red, Wine, and Blue. We're going to hear from Liuba from Vote Mama, and Jonathan from Hello, the ACLU, and he's going to give us a Know Your Rights training. So thank you to all of our speakers, to you who are on tonight, and to the Moms Rising team who are making tonight happen. Carrie, Catalina, Olivia, Karen, Geronimo, and the interpreters. One thing, we've been asked by our members in the feedback to start the night with some actions. People coming out of the gate immediately fired up. So we can take action now and throughout the evening. So check the chat out from some actions, including telling the Senate to extend the ACA tax credits so that our healthcare doesn't go up by 70%. Hello. Tell Congress to not pass any bill that gives any more money to ICE. Yes, that needs to happen. And tell Congress to demand the HHS restore and protect childcare funding now. You should see that in the chat. Now, we are going to move to our first incredible champion superhero speaker, somebody who I am always delighted and honored to be on the same Zoom, in the same room, on the same planet with. We have Ailen Arreaza, who is Executive Director of Parents Together. Parents Together mission is to deliver the news that families need. They focus on the latest research, the policies, and the trends impacting children and family, ensuring busy parents have the information necessary to help their families succeed. They know parents can be a powerful force for good, and they provide inspiring and actionable journalism so parents can support their families and communities. Led and powered by parents, Parents Together connects with over 2.5 million parents through Facebook, SMS, email, and the web. I want to thank you for joining us tonight as we rise together to make sure that we can have a better tomorrow. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It is so great to be in community with you tonight. This is exactly what my heart needed. As Kristen said, I'm Ailen Arreaza. I'm the Executive Director of Parents Together. But more importantly, I am a mom to Lucas and Paulo, my 2 amazing sons. And I just want to start off by acknowledging that January has felt like it's lasted a decade. It's only January 29th, but I feel like 2026 has been 10 years long. We are living through a really, really heavy, painful, infuriating time, and everything feels so urgent and so awful. And in the midst of all of that, we as moms also have to figure out how to help with homework and sign up for summer camp and not completely lose it every time our kids ask us that dreaded question, "What's for dinner?" Which nothing triggers me more than that question, I have to say. And to add insult to injury, many of us across the country have been dealing with snow days this week. My kids have not had a full day of school all week. It's all too much. It feels like too much. But in this moment, I also feel a great deal of pride and privilege in the work that I get to do at Parents Together. At Parents Together, we believe in a really simple idea that parental love is one of the most powerful forces in the universe, and that we can harness that love to create a world in which all kids and families can thrive. So this year, we are focused on building a powerful media network that reaches over 50% of parents in the United States with messages and narratives that help move us toward a more pro-social, pro-democratic country. So imagine if when moms and dads are scrolling their phones late at night, half tired, half worried about their kids, they didn't just run into, the culture war outrage that we see so much, or the right-wing influencers telling them who to fear. And instead, they kept encountering stories like the ones you were mentioning, Kristen, out of Minnesota. Stories that reflect their values, the care, the fairness, the dignity, the belonging that we all have. Compelling, entertaining content that helps parents see themselves as part of something bigger and reminds them that protecting kids, loving our families and our neighbors, and believing in each other is what matters most. Content that inspires them to take action and build the world our children deserve. That's the world we're trying to build, where culture does the quiet work of reinforcing the values that most parents already hold. So we're going to do this by creating really compelling content that gives parents helpful tools and resources. And one of our favorite ways to do so is through something we call scripts for parents, which, just like it sounds, gives parents practical scripts to talk to their kids about difficult subjects. So this week, for example, we're working on a script for how to talk to kids about ICE, a script that reinforces values and helps children feel safe in this moment. We're also going to be working to shift narratives and change what feels normal and make sure that parents understand who is responsible. Because it is not normal for families to be struggling as much as they are. It's not normal for childcare to cost more than college tuition. It's not normal for billionaires to be getting tax breaks while families are getting screwed. And we are going to make sure that parents across the country understand that. And they understand who is responsible for why things are so hard. And then we're going to create opportunities and encourage parents to take action. We are going to encourage parents to speak up and tell their stories, to reach out to their representatives. And then there's an election this year to vote for leaders who are going to prioritize families. As parents, we have the power to shape the world our kids grow up in. And we may not all agree on every single thing, and that's okay, because we have one very powerful thing in common: the fierce, undying love we all have for our kids. And so at Parents Together, we're here to make sure that you're not doing it alone, that your voice can reach further, and that the culture our kids see every day reflects the values we want them to carry forward. So this year, let's keep showing up, not because it's easy, but because it's what our kids deserve. And because when parents show up, real change happens. Thank you.
Let's give a lot of hearts. Can you all find that emoji button? Let's give so many hearts. Let's give so many emojis. We're not talking together, but we can be virtually in the same space together. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do. Thank you for those shared words, shared thoughts, shared vision, shared strategy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to pass it now to Carrie, and I love seeing all those hearts because we heart you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. To you, Carrie.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Now, it is my great honor to introduce Janice Robinson. Red, Wine, and Blue is a nationwide community of over 500,000 diverse suburban women united to combat extremism, one friend at a time. They train and connect women from all political backgrounds across the country, including many new to politics, to take action and enjoy the process. In North Carolina alone, nearly 40,000 women in 50 troubled nation groups find strength in their differences and hope in community. Amid all the chaos at the federal level, they remain focused on where we can make the biggest difference. What is that you say? Locally, because when they go low, they go local. Thank you, Janice, for joining us.
Thank you, Carrie. And thank you all for having Red, Wine, and Blue, letting us participate tonight. It's always exciting to be in this room and in the space with thousands of moms and so forth, because we know, as we say in Red, Wine, and Blue, we know who gets shit done. It's the women and the moms in the world. And so thank you so much for that. So first of all, just for those who may be hearing and learning about Red, Wine, and Blue for the first time. So again, my name is Janice Robinson. I'm the North Carolina director for Red, Wine, and Blue. And Red, Wine, and Blue, we were founded and we are headquartered in Ohio. And we're a national community of over 8,000 diverse suburban women working together to defeat extremism, one friend at a time. We have year-round staffing in Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. And we have a network of over 800 local grassroots groups organizing in all 50 states. We were founded by Katie Paris, an Ohio suburban mom, and that was shortly after 2018, after feeling a personal responsibility to mobilize other suburban moms to do their part and talking to women across Ohio who had become politically engaged after 2016. And so Red, Wine, and Blue initially focused on building a network of women in Ohio and expanded nationally in 2021. So we build infrastructure in our key states with year-round investments instead of just doing year-to-year cycles. We're on the ground 365 days a year with 6 paid organizers on the ground in each of our targeted states, Virginia, Michigan, Ohio, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. And so some things that we've been working on this year in 2026, as we're talking about kind of the strategies for 2026. So first of all, we launched a campaign called Moms for Good. And we launched that campaign after the senseless killing of Renee Nicole Good. And so that all of us could process what happened and take action together. Since then, of course, ICE violence has continued to escalate, with the murder of Alex Preddy. And now the total number of people shot by ICE or federal immigration agents since September is in the double digits. Over 12,000 people signed up for our Moms for Good initial event that we held about a couple of weeks ago, and which was done in partnership with other mom and caregiver groups. And then we encourage people to contact Congress and join social media banks. And now over 65,000 people have contacted Congress to demand accountability for ICE agents and to block additional ICE funding in the Department of Homeland Security budget. We currently have an action for folks to call their senators demanding they vote no on the DHS funding until the bill ensures transparency in the investigation of all ICE-related deaths, accountability for ICE agents who commit crimes, the removal of Trump administration officials who support ICE's cruel and deadly crusade, and no funding for ICE in the Department of Homeland Security budget. We've also hosted 2 social banks to help amplify good content and trick the algorithm. And we've held 2 of those, and we've had thousands of people to get on with us and participate in those social banks. And we have been doing a lot of work now with ICE moving into other cities. And we'll be likely looking to support in those cities as well. Here in North Carolina, some of you may know, and I've seen some Charlotte people on, that we have had the CBP, the Border Patrol had come to Charlotte a few weeks ago. And so we participated, and I call it some underground work. That's how it felt like. And so we are prepared. Matter of fact, we've got rumored that they will be coming again the first of next week. So we've already started to reamp up our efforts to make sure we protect our neighbors if and when they do come back. Other things that we've been focusing on is the SAVE Act. Many of you probably is aware and have heard that right now the SAVE Act is, there's some discussions going on in the Senate. They're still trying to pass the SAVE Act. And if for those, if you haven't looked into it, please do, because this is another voter suppression attempt, especially going after women and also minority and marginalized communities. And what we understand, they're trying to revive it and update it. So we want to be ready for that. Matter of fact, we're going to be having an event next week, and I'll drop the links for that. We're looking at how they are going to be trying to use the SAVE Act and use it to attack Black political power. So we're going to have on the 3rd, next Tuesday, we'll be having a virtual event with Dr. James Ford, who will be talking about that. Couple other things. So we've been focusing on some mutual aid opportunities too, to support and assist where we can, raising money for different organizations to support the work that's being done and to support the people who are under duress when it comes to this, the things that are going on with ICE and the Border Patrol. We're preparing for our 2026 elections. Like I said, we are on the ground in the battleground states where we have staff. We are on the ground 365 days a year, every year. And so we are already preparing for these elections. And in some of our states, we're going to be working in these primaries, because sometimes it doesn't matter what alphabet is behind an elected official or a candidate's name. We want to make sure that we help get the people in office who are going to protect our democracy and protect our rights, and who's going to fight for our rights. So we're already working on that here in North Carolina. Our primary is on March 3rd. So the team and I in North Carolina, we are already getting prepared for that as well too. So lastly, I'll share that our work nationally, we have a platform that we call Trouble Nation. And this is where we have over 800 groups in all 50 states. This is a distributed organizing program, because our philosophy is when they go low, we go local. We operate from the ground up, not the top down. So what we do is empower, engage, empower, and activate women around the issues important to them in their local communities. So now any person, any of these women who want to list their groups on our platform, on our website, they can do that. And we call that platform Trouble Nation. So like I said, we have over 800 groups in all 50 states. And this way, and with in this program, Trouble Nation, it puts the power back in the hands of the women. And we provide a lot of resources, tools, trainings, and so forth to help these women be successful in their groups, to grow their groups, and to get things done in their communities. Now we are, some of the things that Trouble Nation provides is a dedicated landing page for people to share with their groups or to share with their community. We help them create events. We help them do new member recruitment by tapping into our vast Red, Wine, and Blue network. And then we do some exclusive content trainings and other opportunities for their groups to help them to stay connected and to expand in their communities. So we have a lot going on in Red, Wine, and Blue. We've been around for about 5 years, and we're continuing to grow and always looking to make sure that we work in coalition with other groups of women and people who are trying to make sure that we all have a democracy where there's fairness, equity, and inclusion. And so that's what we have going on. And I'll drop, I guess I can drop our links to our app. Let me say this. We have created an app, a Red, Wine, and Blue app, because we want to get out from under the control of the tech bros. Although we use social media, and we are on all the platforms, and we've used Facebook to do a lot of organizing, especially in our targeted states. And we have Facebook pages in our targeted states and some of the Trouble Nation groups. But we have a Red, Wine, and Blue app. So we're moving everything, all of our programming into our app. So I am going to drop that link and encourage people to download the app on your phone. I'm going to drop the instructions on how it works and so forth. And so we invite you to come join us on our app where you can have more freedom and safety and security to engage with us. So thank you, Carrie, for allowing me the opportunity to share.
You are so welcome, and thank you so much. And no, you don't have to drink wine to join Red, Wine, and Blue, just so you know, everyone. That was great information. Everyone give Janice A lot of hearts, emojis. Thank you. Just show her some love. Woo! Thank you so much, Janice. Kristen, I'll turn it back over to you.
You're more than
So
welcome. Thank you.
excited. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Hello, organized gangs of wine moms. Yes, you know when you've been insulted by the president that you have made it, especially this president. Um, Next up, we have a fantastic speaker, another one. Hello, powerful mom team. We have coming on with us Liuba, Grechen, Shirley. She is the founder and CEO of, you guessed it, Vote Mama. Let's have some emojis if you are planning to vote already. Let's have some emojis if you are already excited to vote. Voting cannot come soon enough. I am so ready to vote, and we love Vote Mama. Vote Mama is a powerhouse. By powerhouse, we mean there are 3 entities of organizations within Vote Mama. We have the Vote Mama Foundation, a 501c3 that is the leading source of research and analysis on the political participation of moms. Let's give some thank you emojis for that one. Then there is Vote Mama Lobby, a 501c4 that advocates to break the structural barriers moms face running for office and ignites a movement to transform the political system. Yes, please. Then we have the Vote Mama PAC, the third in the trifecta of awesome. The Vote Mama PAC endorses and supports moms running for office and down the ballot and across the country and all over the place, building mom power. All told, by electing moms and enabling them to thrive once in office, yes, we know that is also important too. Vote Mama knows we can pass truly family-friendly reforms. We can create a country where childcare, paid family medical leave, maternal health, abortion, and education are not only, quote, women's issues, but foundational issues that we know impact every American, and everybody else will know that too. So we are so excited to have Vote Mama come in. I feel like everybody here should have had a walk-up song. Next time we're going to have a walk-up song contest. All the people coming in have walk-up songs. Like, give some big hearts to Vote Mama.
Thank you, Kristen. You are an excellent hype woman. I'm ready to go now. Thank you, everybody. I think we have some slides. I actually want to put the slides up because I want to share some of the moms that we're supporting this year. So we're going to go through them pretty quickly. I want to stop on a couple of them. If you can go to the next one, please. So, hi, everybody. I'm Liuba. I founded Vote Mama based on my own lived experience. I ran for Congress back in 2018 when my older 2 children were just 1 and 3. And anytime I talked about paid family leave or childcare on the campaign trail, without fail, someone from the audience would say, you really should ignore the women's issues and you should stick to the bread and butter issues. And it would infuriate me because we lose $120 billion a year because of the lack of childcare. And I used to try to talk to people in economic sense about these issues and try to get them to understand it. But I would always say, if we had similar labor force participation rates to countries like Canada and Germany that have paid family leave, that have flexible work options, that have universal childcare, subsidized quality childcare, we'd actually add 5.5 million women to the workforce and $500 billion a year to the economy. And that was the only way I could get anybody to stop thinking about these issues as women's issues and really look at them as the economic bread and butter issues that they are. If you go to the next slide, this is really why our policies fail women and children in this country, because legislators legislate on their lived experience. When I was thinking of running, I remember trying to find any data on who was a mom serving at any level of government, and it turns out that nobody had looked at caregiving as an identity in our elected officials. No one was tracking how many moms of minor children were serving. So we launched the Politics of Parenthood from our foundation side, and we are now tracking how many moms of minor children are serving, both at the state level and at the federal level. No one here is probably surprised that only 7.9% of our state legislators are moms of minor children, and literally just 2% are moms of color of minor children. At the congressional level, it's even worse at 7.2%. That means that only 39 of our Congress members are moms of minor children, that 28 states do not have a mom representing them in Congress. And if you look at the ratio of dads to moms, it's actually 3-1. But when you look at parents of children under the age of 6, it's 9-1. So when you look at why childcare costs more than college, why we are the only industrialized nation without paid family leave, why we have the worst maternal mortality rate in the industrialized world, it comes down to who our legislators are. And the only way to change our legislators, the only way to change our policy is to change our policymakers. But you can't do that without changing our political system. because our political system was designed by wealthy, white, landowning men when women did not even have the right to vote. So that is what Vote Mama is doing in a nutshell. We are changing the political system. We are electing incredible moms, and we are researching who they are and what they're doing once they're in office. If we go to the next slide, this is going to talk about our PAC work. So over the last 6 years, we have already endorsed over 600 Democratic moms running from school board to Senate in over 800 races. We had a shockingly high win rate this last November at 90%, and we had a 96% win rate in Virginia. So of the 13 seats that we flipped in Virginia, 9 of them were Vote Mama mamas. We already have 62 mamas. Janice was just talking about why the midterms are so important and that we have a really big election right now. I've been watching the chat and seeing your comments and everything that we are worried about. If we actually want to do something and hold this administration accountable, the midterms are it. We have 9 months. So right now we've got 62 mamas that we've already endorsed, 3 for Senate, 25 for House. In the next few slides, we'll show some of these. 7 are red to blue. We only need 3 seats to get a majority back in the House, and that is where we have the power to actually do something. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see some of our red to blue mamas. These are some of the most incredible women. Denise Powell is running for vacancy. She is a mom. She is an organizer. She is just like all of you on this call who just cannot take what is happening and she's been organizing for quite some time. Lauren Babb Tomlinson works for Planned Parenthood. She had to watch some of the Planned Parenthood centers in Northern California get closed because of this administration. She has a child who just turned 1 a few days ago and was so pissed off that she decided to run. Bridget Brink is the former ambassador to Ukraine who resigned in protest after serving under 5 different administrations because of the way that this current administration is handling Ukraine. Joanna Mendoza is a single mom. She's a former drill sergeant. She's a veteran. Rebecca Bennett is another Navy helicopter pilot mom with 2 little girls who's had enough and she's running. These are the moms that we need to make sure we get across the finish line. If we go to the next slide and we can flip through these, and I will make sure that everybody has this afterwards, you can flip through these pretty quickly. These are just our moms that we have already endorsed this year. We already have endorsement applications open. So if anybody on this call is running, please do apply. We're taking applications right now. And if you go into the next slide, this is just some of the things that we've really heard from our moms across the country who are running, who ran and won. Affordability is a winning strategy. Long-term investment matters. Pre-primary funding is critical. Everyone that we gave a donation to won their election this last cycle, which is really incredible. And moms run because we are pissed off at the policies that are failing our families in this country, and authenticity matters. Talking about your family, talking about what made you decide to run, because politics is personal. That's how you win elections. That's how you build coalitions. Everybody who won, they were organizers first. They decided to get involved and really do something for their community. If we go to the next slide, this is how you guys can get involved. We launched a Mama Fund. Every dollar that is raised into this Mama Fund is going out to our candidates across the country. And because a lot of people find it very difficult and overwhelming to get involved in political fundraising, we're making this really easy. If you go to the next slide, this is our Mom's Night Out program that we are just launching right now. And we've put together a toolkit. So anybody who is ready, who wants to host a Mom's Night Out, we have people hosting drawing classes, hosting spa nights in, doing dinners with their friends, literally going to karaoke. Anything that you want to do, getting together with your friends and doing something fun and raising money that goes into this Mama Fund. The toolkit makes it as easy as possible for you to get involved and to do something so that I can't tell you how many people have called and texted to be like, what do I do right now? I'm so overwhelmed and so upset with what's happening in the country. This is what you do. You get together with your friends, you are in community, and you help raise money to get these moms across the finish line so that they can fight for our families. If we go to the next slide, this is some of the structural change work that we are doing. So when I ran for Congress, I put a request into the Federal Election Commission, and I said, can I use campaign funds on childcare? What most people don't realize is that running for Congress is the longest job interview you'll ever have. There's a reason that we have more millionaires in Congress than moms. Most people go into debt, take money out of their retirement accounts, take second mortgages on their homes, and have a really hard time affording childcare when they don't have a salary. So that's why we end up with people who don't really understand how these policies affect our lives because we have millionaires in Congress. So I said, can I use campaign funds for childcare? and everyone said it was political suicide. Shockingly, it was a bipartisan, unanimous decision that changed the way that federal candidates run for office. Vote Mama has now been working to get this approved for state and local candidates. We're now at 40 states that have approved the use of campaign, 40 states and DC, to be correct. 40 states and DC have approved the use of campaign funds for childcare. It sounds like a very small structural change, but it can completely transform the political landscape. It transforms who has the ability to step up and run. And we've now seen over $1 million of campaign funds spent on childcare. So it's a game changer. The next slide talks about campaign funds for security. We have really seen that this is an absolute need, that parents, when they step up to run, are afraid for their family's safety, afraid for their children's safety. We have now been working to also get the use of campaign funds for security approved. We've gotten 9 new states just since June of this year. We're at 20 states that have approved the use of campaign funds for security. And we actually did a report looking at the last 10 years of spending at the federal level where it is approved right now. And more than $41 million has been spent. We saw a 7,000% increase in the spending of campaign funds on security. It is a very real issue that affects both Democrats and Republicans alike. And being able to use your campaign funds for security means that you don't have to risk your safety or your family's safety to serve your community. If we go to the next slide, I want to see if we have anything else. This is just new research that we have coming out this year, which this is more, we're tracking the use of campaign funds, the spending of campaign funds for security and for childcare, and updating our politics of parenthood research. So we can take the slides down, but Vote Mama is, the overall thing is that it's funny, somebody said, when did you become radicalized? And it's when I became a mom. I became a mom, had no paid family leave. I had no ability to get off any childcare wait list, and I tried. And I thought I was going to be mommy tracked when I quit my job that I absolutely loved. I was not planning on running for Congress and starting an organization, but I did so because there are so many incredible moms across this country that don't know how to get involved in politics. And that even if they know how to get involved in politics, the system is so rigged and so difficult that you have to choose whether or not you want to be a present parent or a Congress member or a state representative. And we have to change that. And that is what Vote Mama is doing. So thank you for having me, Kristen.
Thank you for being on. Let's give all the hearts, all the rounds of applause, any kind of emoji. I mean, thank you. It is spectacular. Thank you for sharing what you're doing. And I'm just so inspired. And one of the things that's so important in this moment is to know that none of us are alone. We're all in this burning building together. Some of us are in different rooms with different kinds of heat, but we are none of us alone. And no organization is alone either. We're a movement of movement. So we love sharing what our partner organizations are doing with all of you, because hello, if it was easy to solve and easy for one person to do, we wouldn't be in this situation. So I want to thank everybody who is rising up together across communities, across people, across organizations. And now we have a spectacular, awesome, amazing training, and then we'll have some Q&A. I'm going to pass it to Carrie for introductions again.
Now it is my great honor to introduce again Jonathan Blazer. Jonathan Blazer works at ACLU's National Political Advocacy Department. He has engaged in and supported hundreds of battles for immigrants' rights, and at the state level and also at the local level, while also working to connect these fights to federal advocacy efforts and longer-term strategies for social change. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. Take it away.
Thank you, Moms Rising, for having me. And yeah, I agree with Kristen. It is encouraging in the most difficult times to be together in solidarity and to know that we have one another to lean on. We are in this together. Next, if you can put up the slide deck, please. We're going to we're going to do basic Know Your Rights in 7 minutes or less. And the information I'm about to share is basic information about your rights. It is not legal advice. And what's nice about this deck and doing it in 7 minutes is we're going to focus upon the rights that we all have, regardless of our immigration or our citizenship status, and regardless of the law enforcement agency that we are interacting with, because these days it is hard to tell. They're hiding their faces, they're hiding their badges. You don't know who's who out there. And for purposes of this presentation, it doesn't matter. Our rights are the same with all of them. Next slide, please. Basic rights held by all, again, regardless of our immigration and citizenship status. We have a First Amendment right to freedom of speech and to peaceful assembly. Peaceful is actually in the Constitution in the First Amendment. And for me and many of us, nonviolence is a moral principle, but it is also a strategic imperative. If our protests turn violent, we no longer have the protections of the Constitutions afforded to us. We have a right not to be detained or arrested without a valid reason. We're going to talk in a moment about what those reasons look like depending upon what phase of interaction with a law enforcement official you're in. We have the right to refuse to consent to searches of our body, our home, our stuff. And people may have heard about a secret ICE training memo that was leaked by a whistleblower last week. And the one thing I want to say about this, there are some circumstances under which law enforcement can search you or your home without a warrant, emergencies, exigent circumstances. One of those exceptions is not when ICE has an administrative warrant and certain type of immigration information about you. They are illegally training their new hires to violate the Constitution. They will be sued for that. But until such time as a court directs them not to do that unlawful action, our rights remain at risk, and we need to know that they think that they can do that and prepare accordingly. We have the right to remain silent. We have the right to ask for a lawyer if we are detained or arrested. And we got a right to do what I'm doing, which is to tell other people about their rights. And we also have that right if we see somebody in the street who is being mistreated or is being questioned or detained, we have the right to tell them in that moment what their rights are. That is not obstruction. That is not interference. You can't put your body between a police officer and the person to do it. You not need to stand back and not interfere. But we have a First Amendment right to tell other people about their rights. Next slide, please. This is a little bit complicated, but we're still going to try to boil it down to 1 minute or less. It is very important to try to understand when you're in an interaction with a law enforcement official. It is important to try to understand what phase you're in. Police can go up to people and ask them questions. So can ICE. These are sometimes called casual contacts. Nothing feels casual when you're interacting with a law enforcement official, but under the law, these are considered casual contacts. They don't need a good reason to ask you questions. But the point is you don't have to answer them. You don't even have to stay. And it gets to be important to say, am I free to leave? To find out if you're in a casual contact or a stop. A stop is sometimes also called a temporary detention or an investigatory stop, where police or ICE are supposed to have some reasonable suspicion that you are committing an offense. Reasonable suspicion can mean a lot of things. It cannot mean your race or your appearance alone, even though we know that that's what's going on. And there's lawsuits around the country challenging ICE's practices and on grounds that they don't have reasonable suspicion. Again, it's hard to tell whether or not you are free to go or not, and you need to ask the officer, am I free to go? And if you are not, you have to stay. If the officer says you are free to go, then you have the right to let them know I'm leaving now. And then finally, I think the one that we're most familiar with is arrest. In order to arrest you, a law enforcement official needs to have probable cause, a much higher degree of suspicion that a offense has been committed. In this situation, you're not free to go and you're going to get detained and booked and sometimes worse. Next slide. A lot of people want to know these days, what type of documentation do I need to carry? In this country, United States citizens are not required by law to carry proof of their citizenship. But I want to recognize that a lot of citizens these days are making the personal choice to do so for their own safety, especially if they believe that other people may perceive them to be foreign. So people of color, people who speak with an accent, are making that safety choice for themselves, even though it's not required. The law, they don't want to be falsely arrested. On the other hand, and really important to know that adult immigrants who are 18 or older, who have green cards, which is lawful permanent residency, or some other valid immigration visa, are required to carry their immigration documents with them at all times. And it is often in the interest of immigrants with green cards and other legal immigration visas to show that documentation upon request to avoid further detention, questioning, mistaken identity, and allegations. Next slide, please. A different type of documentation is getting a lot of attention now, which is documentation of ICE activity and the right, whether you have the right to record and document ICE activity. Under the law, you do have a right to document, photograph, film law enforcement, so long that law enforcement is plainly visible in public. You don't have this right on private property. A private property owner can set the rules of who has a right to record there. But if it's plain and visible in public, you have a right to document law enforcement, so long as you're not trespassing or violating some other law while you're doing it. You want to keep a safe distance and make sure not to physically interfere with an officer. Of course, officers will say you're too close, keep your distance, step back further, you're interfering. And to be safe, you want to try to take cues and step back a little bit further and get out of the range, even if it's an unreasonable order sometimes, to keep a safe distance. I want to note that this is a right that can antagonize law enforcement officials. They can react harshly to those who record their activities. They don't want to be held accountable. They want to be able to lie about what happened without there being any proof to contradict their lies. And those include law enforcement officials who threaten arrest, who make arrest, and who do worse to people. So this is an area where you have to assess your risk tolerance and you have to balance rights and safety. Next slide. I want to talk a little bit more about some safety measures. These are things that tend to reduce risks in inherently risky situations. They reduce risks, they don't eliminate risks completely. You always want to remain calm, avoid sudden movements, keep your hands visible, never do anything that can be interpreted in the least bit as physically resisting or obstructing. This one can be hard. Next one for activists and organizers following orders. When we don't think those orders are reasonable and when we think those orders are unlawful or discriminatory or retaliatory. But if you're prioritizing your safety rather than exercising your rights, then you usually want to try to follow or understand orders and follow them for your safety if that's what you're prioritizing. And finally, I said before, if you're questioned or stopped, you may ask if you're free to leave, and if the answer is yes, you may calmly walk away, and many people would advise narrate that that's what you're doing. Okay, officer, I am walking away, walking in this direction away, so that there's no misunderstanding. Next slide, and final slide. I'm going to ask my friends, Kristen, Carrie, Liuba, if you're willing to come off of mute with me. And I know that people are at home and you may feel foolish, like you're talking to yourself when I ask you to repeat after me, but that's okay. If your kids think that you're foolish, it won't be the first time. These are 5 key phrases that we can fall back upon when we forget exactly what our rights are, because they are phrases that can get us out of trouble in the heat of the moment. And let's practice them together. I'm going to ask you at home to repeat after me and also my friends here. Am I free to go?
Am I free
Am
to
I
go?
free to
Am I
go?
free to go?
I wish to remain silent.
I
I
wish
I
to
wish to
remain
remain
silent.
I do not consent to this search.
I do
I
not
do not
consent to
consent
this
to the
search.
Search.
Am I under arrest?
Am
Am
I
I
Am I
under
under
arrest?
arrest?
And if we have any singers in the house, I want to speak to a lawyer. Come on, all.
I want to
Want
speak
to
to
speak
a
to a
lawyer.
lawyer.
Thank you very much. That's it. I'll turn it back over to our hosts.
I just want to thank you. Can we give a giant round of applause? All of the emojis. And I actually want to underscore the importance of practicing those phrases out loud. It's really hard if you get in a situation where your stress is happening. And so we're hearing from a lot of moms, dads, parents, and people that having practiced those phrases ahead of time has really helped should something go awry. So I want to thank you for getting us to somatically practice, not just read. And I want to also also thank you for all you and the ACLU are doing every day to protect our democracy, to protect our Constitution, to protect the people on the planet Earth, hello, and to protect people across America. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Carrie, who is going to moderate the questions. To you, Carrie.
Thank you. Last call to use the Q&A function. If you have a question, please go ahead and get it in really quickly. Are we still have time to do that, Kristen? Do the Q&A, or do we want to move on?
We have a couple minutes. Let's do some of the top Q&As. I was looking in there. There's some good ones that we should get.
Okay. A good question I see, are there organizations that bring dads together like this?
Ooh, there's a dad's caucus, you all. In Congress, they have a dad's caucus, which I love. And then also, I actually want to turn this over to Ailen because they're parents together. So there's a ton of dads involved.
Yeah, we have dads who are part of our community, and we're actually trying to develop a whole initiative for dads that's going to reach dads through cultural media. But there's a great group called Dads for All, I think, that is doing more of this kind of organizing work for dads, and we're partnering with them on that work. So I would recommend seeking them out for like on the ground kind of organizing, and then following our channels, Parents Together, for more dad content that can help reach dads at scale.
Awesome. Thank you. Jonathan, I think this is for you. If you are being searched, how much can you resist?
So the first thing to know is that as a baseline, oftentimes law enforcement cannot search you without obtaining your consent. And they often ask it in a sneaky way. They say, you mind if I search you? And they're already searching you by the time that before you even say whether you mind or not. So you want to make clear, right? If you don't consent, I'm not saying which way you have to go, but if you don't consent, you want to make clear, I do not consent to this search. No, I don't agree to this. Because in some cases that will stop the search, or at a later point, if they happen to find something or plant something on you, it will enable you to say that you didn't consent to the search. You should also know, though, if police have a reasonable suspicion that you are armed or carrying contraband, they can search you without your consent. And there are often fights as to whether or not it was reasonable or not. This was the whole lawsuit about stop and frisk in New York, the policy in New York years ago. So you don't want to ever physically resist, but you always want to make clear that you don't consent if you don't consent, and you want to say that. And you have to know that sometimes if there's going to be a fight then about whether it was a proper search, that fight doesn't get sorted out on the street with the cops. That fight gets sorted out later in the courts.
Thank you. What are we doing to make sure the 2026 elections happen? And that is for anyone.
Ooh, let's do a hot round. Hot takes from everyone. Janice, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I think just first of all, I think just preparing to be at those polls. I'm a big believer in people power. It's we the people. We are the ones who own this country, not a small few. It's being ready and having a plan and being ready and showing up at the polls and show up at the polls during the primary. For some of us, because there's been so much gerrymandering done, in our counties and in our states, really our only opportunity to really have an impact is at the primaries. And I'm going to say this, for some of us who maybe live in some of these counties where it is heavily drawn in a district that some extreme people seem to always win. Hey, if you are, and especially in North Carolina, in some states, if you are an unaffiliated or an independent voter, you can vote in any primary, either a Republican or Democrat or Green Party, whatever. You can pull on any ballot. And so sometimes from a strategic standpoint, think about how you can cast your vote to really have an impact. And so we're at a time where we got to be thinking outside of the box. But the main thing is just showing up,
Anybody else want to answer?
I agree. I agree with Janice. Showing up, supporting candidates, making sure that we have midterms, making sure that we're talking about it as much as possible. making sure that our moms have the money that they need to get their messages out there and showing up. And making sure that we're supporting really good Secretary of State candidates because they are really the most important role in making sure that our elections are free and fair. So, Secretary of States, support them. Know who your Secretary of State is and make sure that you are supporting them.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Wait, I want to
Oh,
go.
go
And
ahead,
maybe
Kristen, go.
Jonathan and Aileen. I'm like, this is the question. What are we doing about the 2026 elections? Hello, this is my favorite question. First of all, everybody needs to make a plan to vote already. Now, find your friends, families, and neighbors that you are going to go vote with. Make a party of it. Ooh, speaking of parties, Moms Rising is going to be doing house parties over time, organizing groups of people to go vote together. And we're going to have walk-up songs. We're going to have snack plans. It's going to be fun. And we're going to celebrate democracy. Because as everybody just said, there is power in numbers. There's power in community. And there's also fun. So we're going to have fun voting no matter what's happening. And so I also want to pass, because Jonathan, ACLU, hello, thank you for saving our voting rights. What's happening with the ACLU
Yeah.
about the voting?
We're focused a lot upon safeguarding the fairness of the election, voting rights, poll monitoring rights. And unfortunately, I know we're focused upon ensuring that it is a fair election, but we're also focused on protest rights. We have to be ready if they do try to steal it to make clear that the people won't stand for it.
I love it.
Awesome. Love
Hey,
it.
parents together.
And I'll just say, like we want to be reminding people about what's at stake all year round, not just in October and November. And so we're going to be tilling the soil to make sure that when the election comes, people have been thinking about this all year and they are pissed and they know that they have to show up at the polls. And we're going to be trying to do it in ways that reach folks who may never have voted or who may not be paying that much attention to politics, but who are really being impacted by the policies that are happening right now and the way that this administration is hurting families. And so we're hoping that that will really inspire them to take action in November as well.
Yay, voting.
All right, panelists, what is making you hopeful right now? And I will start with Jonathan.
The courage. We're witnessing the courage every day. So shout out especially to the people of Minneapolis. Their example A at the moment. There have been so many examples over the course of the last 13 months.
Amazing, amazing. Janice.
I'm gonna tell you, what's giving me hope is seeing people, everyday people, rising up and taking action and taking actions outside of the box. Here in North Carolina, we have some teachers, some public school teachers, who are running in the Republican primary, in these gerrymandered districts. And I'm gonna tell you, that is exciting to me. They have decided they're running on a platform of saving their public schools, because a lot of times in these small rural counties, um, regardless of your political affiliation, people want to keep their public schools. They don't have private schools to send their kids to. First of all, they can't afford it, but there are any. And then the public schools is one of the largest employers in their counties. And so just because, you might be conservative or Republican or Democrat, they don't want their public schools destroyed. So these teachers are stepping up, running in the Republican primary. So that is giving me hope to see everyday people standing up, thinking outside of the box, and just taking action. I love it. I love it.
I love that. And I am a proud graduate of public school. So yes, to my teachers, public school teachers. Liuba, what is making you hopeful right now?
I have a few things that are making me hopeful that the majority of our moms have signed on to impeach Kristi Noem, that the 7 pathetic Democrats who voted to fund ICE are feeling the heat that they heard so much from their constituents. 2 of them I know personally, and I have watched them issue apologies, and I have personally told them both what I think of their vote. But the fact that so many of their constituents called them that they felt the need to issue public apologies gives me hope that we now have universal childcare in New York, because that's what happens when you have a mama governor. That we had a 90% win rate across the country, that Virginia now has a mom trifecta, that we just tripled the number of Democratic moms of minor children serving as governor. And yeah, Jersey and Virginia now have their first mama governor. So I have a lot that I'm sad about right now and that I'm freaking angry about, but there are a number of really wonderful things. And I'm hopeful that I get to go. The only thing getting me through this moment right now is the fact that I get to do meaningful work and the fact that all of our Vote Mama candidates give me so much hope.
That is amazing. I couldn't agree with you more. Meaningful work is definitely helping me get through as well. Ailen, what is making you hopeful right now?
Just seeing how our side is controlling the narrative, especially around immigration right now. I mean, it used to be
Mm,
that the right was controlling the immigration narrative with
yes,
their nonsense about criminals, but now we are controlling the narrative about how horrible ICE is. And someone shared a stat with me today that over 80% of Americans have seen the videos of the murders of in Minnesota.
mm,
And it gives me so that's huge. That's huge. They cannot spin this. They cannot they can say whatever they want, but people are seeing what's happening and our side is controlling that story, and that gives me so much hope, and it gives me hope for what we can do going forward on a bunch of other issues in addition to immigration.
that is amazing. And I completely agree. Controlling the narrative. And finally, Christian, what is giving you hope?
Well, I like to say I'm the most hopeful appearing, very angry human that you have ever met because a lot of things are giving me hope. First of all, everybody in the Zoom is giving me hope. Everybody in the Moms Rising membership is giving me hope. The fact that people are not giving up and are persisting is giving me hope. The fact that basically overnight we had over 17,000 moms write into Congress and say no additional funding for ICE. Yes, that happened this week. The fact that first, we started fighting for the ACA extensions and the tax credits, which could raise people's healthcare costs by 70%. And we said, hello, we need this extension. It could raise people's healthcare costs by 70%. And we had all the Democrats and we had 0 Republicans in the House. But do moms give up? No. We kept being annoying. We kept nagging. We said, hello, Congress, eat your damn vegetables. Let's go. We need healthcare. And then we got 4 Republicans and all Democrats. That wasn't enough, though, to get it through. We kept going. We kept, helpfully nagging. We kept reminding and we kept sharing our stories. We kept making calls. We kept speaking out. We got 17 Republicans in the US House and every single Democrat. And in fact, the House did recently pass an extension of the tax credits. Now, it's stuck in the Senate. Is our work done? No. But moms don't give up. And it's a proof point that our work, our power, our stories, our voices, our persistence, our belief in one another actually still can make a real tangible difference. We know it, you know it, I believe in us. So what gives me hope is my belief in us. So thank you for that question. It's my favorite question.
That is amazing. And I hope everyone that is listening, if you don't have hope right now, I hope hearing these responses from our panelists is offering you that glimmer of hope. Thank you all so much for putting your glimmers of hope in the chat. I just want to acknowledge that we did see them. And I am so happy that that you all are having some glimmer of hope in these troubling times. I will go ahead and turn it back over to Kristen to close us out.
All right, closing us out. We're putting some actions in the chat. Please take them. Please sign up with Moms Rising. We'll be launching that house party program soon, and we guarantee it's going to be fun. There's a lot of other great ways that I'm sure you've heard us talk about of getting engaged with Moms Rising that are always available. So if you sign up, we'll be sure to remind you. You don't have to take every action. Just some actions make a difference because there's so many of us taking action together. Now, I want to thank our speakers. I want everybody to get their hands on that emoji button with lots of hearts. I want to thank Ailen, Janice, Liuba, and also our Jonathan from the ACLU with the Know Your Rights. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you again. I want to also thank our tech team led by Geronimo. I want to thank our interpreters, Flora and Murtado. I want to thank the Moms Rising team. Hello, can we give Carrie the biggest, best, most massive amounts of emojis and so much thank you. Fabulous, fabulous job. I also want to thank Catalina. Hello, Catalina. Woo, thank you. Karen and Olivia. And I also want to extra thank all of you. Can you give yourself an emoji? Give yourself a heart. Give yourself a hug. And then give yourself an emoji for the community that we're building and persisting in together. Speaking of building and persisting in community, we have another meeting. These are monthly community Zooms, you all. You can sign up ahead of time. You can share the link with your friends, family, and neighbor to sign up. You can bring anyone you want, either with you on the Zoom or you can be with them virtually. The RSVP is going in the chat and we'll also be emailing that out. So go ahead and sign up for the future community Zooms. We guarantee to be accurate and also slightly intense and also persistent and also effective. So let's give all of us a round of applause, all those heart emojis. The biggest thanks to everyone. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you to our speakers again and the Moms Rising team and all the things. So thank you. Thanks for being here. Have a great night, you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Good night.